what we're waking up to in Bothwell. Snow. Snowing outside. Bloody hell. Definitely not what you want to see in the morning when you're on a motorbike trip. But let's go back a step and see how we got to this position. So just recapping from the previous video, we'd left Leanne's bike in Bothwell, ridden down to Hobart 2 up on the little Postie CT125s. Now it was time to return back to Bothwell and pick up Leanne's bike. We knew the weather was bad, but wow, did it get worse. Two very cold people on a Postie, speeding through the hills. Very cold day. Just look at these roads. Even though it's cold and wet, this is a rider's nirvana. Absolutely fantastic. You gotta love Tasmania. Whether it's bitumen or dirt, it's a biker's heaven. So we arrive in Bothwell in some pretty bad weather, but it's still a beautiful little town even when the weather's bad. Time to warm up and refuel in the only cafe in Bothwell. It's worth a stop. Nice place. After lunch, it's off to Jason, the local Bothwell mechanic. Great guy, and straightened the bars that Leanne bent in one of her little oops moments. Took a fair bit of work because you've got to bend a little bit back using this breaker bar and then test everything and bend a little bit more because you don't want to overdo it, but turned out to be a pretty good fix. We're back to riding in a straight line.
Don't fall off it, mate.
So while we're putting the bikes back together again, the weather really turned. So bad, even the locals were talking about it. So we made the decision not to press on to Sorell that afternoon, but to spend the second night on our trip here in Bothwell and then push on in the morning because the weather was forecast to improve. So put the bike back together again and did an oil change on both bikes, which have done about 500 kilometers. I like to get the first oil change done pretty soon, particularly these small bikes that work so hard. Oops, that's not the drain plug, it's on the other side. After draining the oil, I ran it through a rare earth magnet just to catch anything that was in there, and a fair bit of metal filings came through. And then I replaced the Honda drain plug with a magnetic drain plug. So here we are, next day, waking up to snow. And I come from Western Australia. It is hot and dry and flat. We don't get snow. We talk about a frost for days and days, so this is really remarkable. So I had to take off in the snow. Decided to leave Leanne's bike here with Jason, the fantastic helper mechanic, and I would ride solo and she would get a lift down to Sorell. So I take off, but I forget one thing. I forgot to give her a kiss goodbye.
Snow on the road, slowly getting washed away by the sleet. Fuck, it's cold. It's freezing. My eyes are freezing.
Now, I don't often swear, so you get an idea on how cold it was. And once again, being a boy from flat, dry, warm Western Australia, I'm going to say snow an awful lot as I spend the next couple of hours riding through this countryside. And this is how it would go for the next couple of hours. Snow on top of the hills and the passes, but when you got down to these valleys, it was just cold and wet, but beautiful countryside, lovely to travel through. One thing on these windy roads is you need to keep an eye on your mirrors, and every time a truck would come I would let it pass, because travelling at 80 kilometres an hour with a truck up your bum is no fun at all. Bit of consideration is well appreciated by these guys. This little section of Highway 1 was something I was not looking forward to. The main road between Launceston and Hobart. Speed here is 110, which means people are doing 120 kilometres an hour, but fortunately it had a really wide shoulder. People were considerate, and it was only about 20 kilometres before I turned off onto some great country back roads. You just gotta love Tasmania on a motorbike, even if it's this terrible weather. And once again, from boy out west, see how many times I say snow.
There on them hills is snow, not just cold. Beautiful dirt road. Muddy Creek Road, which is a very apt name for this road. Push on. That is snow on the road.
Compared to my normal ride, a KTM 790, it's fantastic, these little Postie bikes, because this was a slippery little road and I lost it a few times, but you haven't got far to fall and you don't go very fast. Loved it. There's such a place called Two. Never heard of it. Now my fingers were really well and truly frozen, so this was a fantastic ride down into Richmond through this winding valley, but I didn't take any video at all. I just couldn't get my fingers to work. Yeah, it was great to be in Richmond where things were a little bit warmer than up on the high country. Found this lovely cafe to chill, refuel and warm up before heading down to our Airbnb in Sorell. So Richmond is one of the early settlements in Tasmania, and it's famous for its bridge, the oldest bridge in Australia, and it's still being used. Not bad. So a quick stop at the Richmond Bridge to have a look at the bridge, the ducks and the rooster, and then it was time to hit the last pass before heading down towards Sorell. And the rain stopped because it turned into hail. So up I went, making the little 125 Postie work its guts out, and then down into the hail. So normally you crest this hill and get a spectacular view for kilometre after kilometre down towards the coast with the big steep hills either side of the valley. Not today, it was just hail and cloud. The kangaroos in Tasmania are incredibly strong. Look at this one, lifting a car. So it was a really miserable, hard, long ride to the Airbnb, and it was really nice to arrive there. But wow, did the next 2 days turn out to be fantastic. Some of the best riding I've ever done. Stay tuned.